Hey, welcome back to my channel. I'm Megan and I'm a freelance writer, editor, a self-published author, and a bookworm. Today we're looking at traditional versus self-publishing through a more specific lens. Recently on Twitter, I wish I had taken a screenshot of it, but I didn't. Anyway, someone posted that we need to stop looking at self-publishing as the backup for when you don't get an agent and you decide to give up on trying if you wanted to get traditionally published. Their argument was that self-publishing is just as good and just as worthy as getting traditionally published, and some authors, in fact, prefer self-publishing because it gives you more control and greater profits, usually. This really caught my attention because, I will admit, for me, self-publishing was the backup, and I'll explain, I'll give you some context. Years ago, I wrote a book called I Think I Left the Curling Iron On. I sent over 100 query letters but had no luck grabbing an agent's attention. And this was not my first manuscript. I've written several across the span of more than a decade, and I've sent hundreds of query letters, and I haven't gotten a single offer for representation. I never considered self-publishing. In fact, I swore I wouldn't do it because I didn't want to. I didn't want to control the whole process. I wasn't interested in things like cover art. I'm a writer. However, I was so proud of this book, and I decided that it really needed to see the light of day. And I thought, okay, maybe I was too hard on self-publishing. I had never even tried it. So let's try it. And I actually started to get excited about it, and I thought maybe this is what I've needed all along. I stopped querying and I learned as much as I could about self-publishing, and I launched my book on Amazon. I even recorded the audio version of it, which was a whole thing. Did I sell a ton of books? No. Did I enjoy the process? Also no. I already knew this about traditional versus self-publishing, but now I can confirm it from, my own experience. Both are incredibly hard, just in different ways. And we as authors have to decide which version of hard we want to pursue. Traditional publishing is so challenging because some agents are getting hundreds and hundreds of queries a month. In fact, Michelle, who's an agent I follow on Twitter, recently shared that she received 773 queries in July, which is like, what? The barrier to entry is very high. You have to pitch agents. If you get an offer, they have to pitch your manuscript to editors, who then have to pitch it to the sales team, and then maybe you'll get a deal. So it's like almost impossible to get an agent in the first place, and even if you do, it doesn't guarantee anything. And it's only getting harder over time. I talk more about this in this video. Now on the flippity flip, with self-publishing, the barrier to entry is very low. Anyone can self-publish. Anyone can make themselves a published author. That's the easy part. The hard part is selling copies, because there are so many people self-publishing. It's very easy to get lost in the crowd, and unless you have a huge platform, a huge following, which I do not, you're gonna have a really hard time selling books. Let's go back to the original debate I mentioned. Self-publishing shouldn't be treated as a backup. I'm gonna push back on this because I think it depends entirely on what your goals are. For me, self-publishing was indeed the backup. Remember, both approaches are incredibly hard in different ways, and you kind of have to pick your poison. I would rather deal with the immense challenge of trying to get an agent's attention as opposed to publishing my book myself and then dealing with the challenge of trying to stand out in the very crowded marketplace. Yes, I know that even with an agent, authors have to market their books, but when you self-publish it, it is 100% on you to market and promote your book. And like I said, if you don't have a big following already, or if you don't love social media, then you're not going to have anyone to market to. That's why self-publishing was the backup for me. It wasn't my first choice, again, because of my personal goals and what I want this journey to look like for me. You might be different, and that's totally okay. And I think that's important to point out. When it comes to traditional versus self-publishing, it's not as simple as which one is better than the other. Instead, we have to ask ourselves, which one is better for me? If you just want to have your book printed and you want to be able to hold it in your hands, and that's all you're really striving for, which is great, self-publish it. Or if you love marketing and have a huge audience, self-publish. That's not me. It's a personal choice. It comes down to preference. That's why if you find yourself feeling offended that I'm saying self-publishing was my backup, because for you it's your first choice, you don't need to be offended. Imagine if I was like, I don't really like oysters, and your response was, oh, I love oysters, how dare you? It's okay, our feelings don't need to be hurt just because we don't all love the same stuff. I haven't closed the door on self-publishing, but I don't expect to go back to it anytime soon. I don't even have anything ready that I would self-publish right now. My focus is on my current manuscript, which I will definitely be querying. My writing just keeps getting better and better, and I know there's an agent who's dying to read my work. At least that's what I'm choosing to believe. Anyway, I'd love to hear about your experiences with publishing, whatever type of publishing that might have been. So drop me a comment and say hello. As always, if you made it this far, I'd be really grateful if you could give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you next time.